get a chance to see Barbie last night. I went to the blowout party screening for fans and it was packed. It was sold out. Many people dressed up as Barbie. There was this really cute picnic Barbie outfit someone wore. She looked so cute. Um, Most of these people, I didn't see many kids. This was a 7 p.m. showing. I didn't see many kids there. They were mostly, it looked like, just judging off looks, it looked more like Gen Z, Millennial, and Generation X for the most part. But it was packed. There were men, but mostly, of course, predominantly girls, women. Everybody had a good time, so that's important. Now, full disclosure, I did not play with Barbies when I was a kid. I didn't play with dolls. I was a tomboy, as we called it, till 11th grade. So I played basketball. So I didn't play with dolls. And I didn't like Barbie. My cousins and, girls in my family had Barbies. So I know, how people would play with Barbies. My friends had Barbies and that whole bit. So, but I was excited to see this mostly for nostalgia. And I think a lot of people who were there in the audience last night, a lot of it just felt like people were there for the nostalgia. And I get that energy based on where people were laughing in the film. I liked it, but I don't think I liked it as much as the reviews I've seen on YouTube and online. I just don't think I liked it as much. I think that the campaign to promote Barbie hyped it up really well to make it successful. I think the engine behind the movie is doing the heavy lifting. Is it a good film? It is a good film. I just think that in tone and in story, it shifts dramatically in the third act. For me, I think it falls apart in the third act. Now, the euphoria is up. The adrenaline is up in the beginning because how they started this preview of this screening is, we saw the music videos and the music was flowing. It was really hype right before the movie starts in me, right before Nicole Kidman comes on. It got really, really hype because of the music, the video, the music, the soundtrack is really, really good. And then it starts, even the first act, it starts it starts on a high, a really high note. Like the bar is really way up. I think when Will Ferrell, now that first scene is funny because you have, and I'm not going to spoil this. This is a non-spoiler review, but it's really funny because it's so typical that there's a boardroom with all of these men, mostly elder men, executives, who are acting like tastemakers with a finger on the pulse of culture, and they have no idea what we women like, what we people of color like, and the whole bit. So that part was funny, but as it continues on, I think it falls apart for me. The story falls apart. Now, the issue becomes that that's the portion of the film where patriarchy is introduced. Let me explain what I mean. So, Barbie, as it is, I think in real life, the realism of it is that Barbie was created to be inspirational and aspirational for girls, tweens particularly. As one of the trailers conveys, baby dolls were the choice for kids when they, the choice for kids before Barbie was introduced. Barbie is an adult doll that kids would play with, but she wasn't the homemaker. She wasn't, the stay-at-home mom, but what the dialectic shows in this, the thesis of the film, is that in Barbie's world, she thought she was doing a good job, that she thought she was being aspirational to young girls, but in the real world, it seemed like a bar that women either couldn't clear, or that was unrealistic because of the patriarchy and the fact that Mattel was run by men who were making Barbie so idealistic and unattainable. That's one way of looking at it. And another aspect was that girls were outgrowing Barbie. Bratz was introduced. They didn't really press hard on Bratz and all the other dolls that were introduced, but it was a nod to it without being so pointed. It was a necessary story, but I don't think they went deep enough. And I think it was so lighthearted because for me, I think Will Ferrell, he does this, and this is not really a dig or shade or anything. I just feel like Will Ferrell does this thing that Jim Carrey did. It feels like a notch right below how over animated Jim Carrey was. And I feel like Will Ferrell, the older he gets, he's still in character, in that character. He's still performing in that way. And it doesn't come off the same as it did in the beginning of his career. It leans heavy on cartoonish, or like he's some caricature of a character we don't think is funny anymore. And on paper, you would think that would work here, but because of the heavy subject matter, I don't think he pulls it off. I think he depletes the story when he's introduced, because what happens is it's on such a high. It's funny, the music is good, and it felt so fantastical. Then we're introduced to the realism, and I just don't think Will Ferrell's character, I'll say, did a good job. And a lot of it, as the story continues, he's in it intermittently, and it's so over the top. I didn't think it was funny. So America Ferrera plays a mother with a daughter. The daughter is more, they didn't say brats specifically, but you can see the nod to the brats. But America Ferrera's character loved Barbie, but because of the real world and all of the things that would happen as she was coming of age, and how she began becoming distant from, or distancing herself from Barbie, because it was unattainable in the real world, she started like drawing these pictures and just started losing what Barbie was meant to her when she was younger. America Ferrera in that finale has a monologue that really says what needed to be said. I think it was a point that needed to be made. It touched everyone. Like, you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. And that needed to be said. What her monologue conveyed, I don't think played out in the story the way it should have in that third act. Like, what she says was what I think Greta Gerwig, the writer, co-writer and director, and Noah Baumbach, I think that's what that monologue that America Ferrera has, I think they wanted to show that cinematically, and I don't think they captured the true essence of that monologue. That monologue is very pivotal in the story. It's very late in the story, and I think it should have played out better in the story. I think it would have been more effective for me. I think it would have been more effective. I think the performances are great. Michael Cera was hilarious to me. He plays Alan. He was so funny. There are some really great moments that Ryan Gosling has. Now, I've heard a lot of talk of, oh, he may be nominated for an Oscar for a supporting role. I didn't get that. I think he does a good job, but I really don't think it was a performance that will be recognized by the Academy for a supporting role. I really don't think it was there. Um, but it was good. I think, and isn't that just the way that in a Barbie movie, the person playing Ken is getting the Oscar buzz when I think Margot Robbie gives an I, Tonya level performance in this film, especially even though the third act falls apart for me, the ending, that finale, Rhea Perlman plays Ruth Handler. She has two big scenes in the film. That third act, so she plays Miss Handler, who is the creator of Barbie, but she was ousted by this board, and the fact that she owed taxes, she was pinned for tax evasion. And I really wish they would have gotten more into that story, but nevertheless, she and Margot Robbie's character in the end, I think, was so powerful, but I think it yielded a conversation that didn't go deeper. I think that part of the story that ends it and kind of tries to button up what America Ferrera's character said with her monologue. I wish that, because there's another scene where Rhea Perlman's in, and I wish that their conversation was earlier in the film. I think it would have been more effective. But Rhea Perlman, I think they should have gone further with her character. Kate McKinnon, the scene stealer that she is fantastic. We needed more from her character too, because I probably would have been the character who would have like cut Barbie's hair and punked her up and, made her less pulled together. And it was, I wish we had more or I wish they would have had more for Kate McKinnon to do to appeal to the girls who were more grunge and didn't play with Barbies and thought Barbie was such a caricature and the whole bit. But she does. The moments she has in the film are hilarious. She is funny and she steals it for me. She and Michael Cera were hilarious. They were so funny in the film. All in all, I think the performances were great. I think it looked beautiful. The film is good. I think it's being overhyped, but I think it's good. I think the performances were good. I think as far as set design and costume design, Barbie takes it. I don't have to see anything else this year. Barbie takes it. Like, every attention to detail was made, for sure. The music was really good. This, and if they're going to nominate anything, any song from this film, I think they should nominate Billie Eilish's song, What Was I Made For? It's such a beautiful song, and it is punctuated in the film at the perfect time. It's such a tearjerker where they place the song. I think it should be nominated for an Oscar. Beautiful song. Then there are songs from Lizzo and the whole bit, Dua Lipa. Those songs are great. But the Billie Eilish song really works, and I think it conveys the message as much as America Ferrera's monologue did. So, all in all, honestly, for me, I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 because the Will Ferrell, it takes the energy from his character, takes the energy from it. He's a representative at Mattel. I think it just depletes the energy for me. Not that his character wasn't necessary, because I think his character was necessary, but I think it was so I think how the performance plays out, it just felt cartoonish when it could have been more serious. That's what I mean. Do I recommend Barbie? The energy was so good. People dressed up, like I said. They were so into it. There's some nostalgia there, whether you played with Barbies or not. The element of nostalgia is there. The energy of, growing up with Barbie, whether you had Barbies or not, that is there. The music is outstanding. The performances are great. Margot Robbie is going to deliver you the performance you're going to enjoy, I think. I think Ryan Gosling was great. Michael Cera and Kate McKinnon still it for me. America Ferrera gives you that monologue that is going to really touch your heart, I think, as a woman or as a little girl coming of age. I think she's going to say what needed to be said. I think Greta Gerwig does a great job directing, but when it comes to the writing, I think that's where I'm struggling the most. The screenplay and the third act for me. Now, she wrote this with her partner, Noah Baumbach. Great writers, obviously. He wrote one of my favorite screenplays last year. So there's that. I'm rooting for it. I expect this to do exceptionally well this weekend. And I really do think that it will have long legs. Like, even after, at the box office, I should say, even after the film, like, people waited to see if there was an after credit scene. Like, almost nobody got up when the credits rolled. And there is no after credit scene or mid credit scene, but people stayed behind and people were clapping. So I know that this is going to continue to do well in the coming weeks for sure. I think this will clear 500 million easy this summer. I think it's going to have legs, no pun intended, at the box office. I recommend it. And I'm going to see it again this weekend. Maybe I'm going to find another reason to like that third act. But on the first viewing, it fell apart for me. So I am going to see it again this weekend, likely Saturday. Hopefully to convince myself that I was being too harsh. That's probably it. But at any rate, Barbie is currently in theaters now.